Great to have you back. This is the SA Morning. So 2 years ago, around this time, South Africa was plunged into lockdown level 5, and this has had quite a significant impact on our personal finances, right? So now medical aid schemes have had to come up with innovative ways to keep prices down and clients happy. So let's discuss this with Dr. Katlego Mothudi from the Board of Healthcare Funders. Doc, good to have you, and thank you so much for your time this Monday morning. Let's talk about it. I mean, we know that traditionally every 1st of January we see medical aid sort of, having their increment. But since, the past 2 years with the advent of, COVID-19, there's been a shift, right? There have been innovative ways with which medical aid schemes had to keep their clients happy.
Yeah, thank you and good morning to everyone. Definitely, I think schemes have always been worried about access to benefits and also making sure that they keep their books where it would help them to remain sustainable. Now, with the advent of COVID, we saw a number of pressures that emanated not just on the schemes itself, but also on the beneficiaries. And the challenge has always been, how do you make sure that you balance being able to offer benefits while you still maintain membership? And a number of innovations have been put into place by the various schemes. Quite early on, there were talks of things like payment holiday or contribution holidays, where for a few months, schemes could actually use the reserves and members could be assisted with contributions. You've mentioned that there is also an aversion, I think, to increases almost on a yearly basis, with some schemes opting to either offer below inflationary increases or hold them off until the middle of the year. Right. So there has been a lot of innovations in that regard.
So with inflation, Doc, I mean, we're talking here high costs of food, fuel, or even utilities. Have you seen members also hip-hopping, just sort of looking for benefits from different, healthcare providers?
While there is, I think, a common phenomenon, there is quite stability, I think, in terms of membership for schemes. We have noticed, however, as per the Council for Medical Schemes annual report, last report, I think, for 2020, we saw a decline in membership. These are members who could no longer afford to be part of schemes, either because they have stopped working or maybe their income does no longer allow them to be part of schemes. So we saw about a 1.1% decline in membership. The second aspect as well is, although this is not COVID specific, over time we have noticed that members downgrade their options. So you would have been on the topmost option, for example, for a while. And because of economic pressures, there has been a decline. Now, all these interventions are what schemes can do within the limitations of their medical schemes. Like, you will be aware that schemes are creatures of statute. There are other interventions that you could look at through the Office of the Regulator as well.
Yeah, and speaking of regulation, I mean, obviously as consumers continue to demand more value for their money, just briefly, if you may take me through, the challenge with most healthcare costs in South Africa not being regulated.
On the contrary, schemes are actually tightly regulated. So you have benefits under schemes being regulated. We have, however, what we now call demarcation products that are offered largely by institutions that are operating under the Financial Services for the FSCA. And those are not regulated. You may know that since 2016, there were promulgations of regulations called the Demarcation Act, which stipulated that those products that are deemed to be medical scheme benefits should only be offered by schemes. We are still waiting for the regulator to write up the guidance or guidelines or frameworks for benefits, so that these could then be formally regulated and also be offered by schemes.
All right, Doc, we appreciate that clarity, and thank you so much once again for speaking to us this morning. Dr. Katlego Mothudi, Managing Director of the Board of Healthcare Fund, speaking to us this morning about some of the innovative ways that healthcare providers have had to, of course, emerge in trends to accommodate their clients.